Welcome back to Rent Free History. And this month, the month of June, when these episodes are coming out, is special because we're celebrating Summerween. And in honor of Summerween, we're going to be talking in this episode about urban legends. The classic ones that, were tales told, like the Bloody Marys and the Hook Hands. But then we have more modern ones through online horror. We've got your creepypastas, but then we've also got the bit more 2026 horrors in terms of backrooms, your ARGs, and so on. So, yeah. When it comes to urban legends, what is it you think of first? What comes to mind?
Mothman.
When did you first hear about Mothman?
I I honestly don't know. I just feel like he just kind of appeared in the back of my mind one day, and I was like, "Oh, hello, Mothman. Fancy seeing you here." Um, but no, I feel like it was just something I always kind of um heard about. But then I started seeing people do like fan art of shows I watched with like either a couple or like an ensemble group of characters with one of them being Mothman. And I don't know why, but it was like the funniest thing. And I still love like going through and like finding them like, oh my God, like Mothman, what are you doing there? You don't live there. And I think I like him too, because it doesn't seem like he does anything. Like he just kind of is just like there. And I don't know if he really counts because of that. Like he doesn't like have like super scary, like, oh my God, that's horrific, like lore to him. He's just like Mothman.
Is there any type of story behind him, or is he more like a Bigfoot character where it's just like there's just like this big Sasquatch creature?
Yeah, he's more like a cryptid character. It was just like this one guy was driving down a road and he saw this figure jump out in front of him, and it was like a 7 foot tall man, but it wasn't a man. It was like there were giant wings. It was like a black moth man. And then two other people were like, "Oh my God, wait, I've also seen a similar creature in that area." And then Mothman was created just based off that. So I feel like he doesn't really count, but like I feel like I feel like using Mothman as a vessel for storytelling has become more, at least it was frequent when I was like a teenager, but every time I'm like, oh, Mothman. I really like him, I think.
Have you ever considered, because there are people who like, try to look for Bigfoot. Is there a community like that out from there for Mothman?
I assume so. I don't know if I want to actually find him though, because like I don't know what I do. Because I'm just imagining like I go out into like this forest in the middle of nowhere, and then there's a group of us, and it's like, okay, split up. We're all gonna find Mothman. Like I could feel it in my bones. Like he's here with us today. And then we all split up, and I go by myself because I'm like the main character, whatever. And I just come face to face with Mothman. I'm like, oh my God, it's Mothman. And then I don't know what I do from there. Like, do I tell people? Do I like bring him with? I don't really want to bring him from his house. And then I'm like, if he wants to stay hidden, then I guess he should stay hidden. Like, why would we try to like get him integrated into modern society when I feel like he just doesn't want that. Like, I feel like he just wants to live in the forest and do. I also don't know what he does, so I'm like, oh, maybe that's what I do. I'd be like, Mothman, what are your hobbies? Would you like to show me? Because like I'm a hoe for hobbies. Like I love picking up hobbies like Pokemon. So I'm like maybe he is too, and we can do hobbies together in the forest. Maybe I do know what I do. I do hobbies with Mothman in the forest. But I feel like there's not a lot of like creatures or urban legends that people would be like, oh yeah, like I don't think they think that about like Bloody Mary or like the like oh, I don't know her name, but like the Japanese urban legend about the woman with the cut
The cut,
smile.
yeah. And then she asked
Yeah.
you, like, do you think I'm pretty? And then if you say yes, she cuts your face to look just like hers. And then if you say no, I think she just like kills you. And then I think the trick is to say maybe because that confuses her.
Yeah. Yeah. But see, like, that's scary, and I don't think anybody like, their first instinct if they came in contact with her would be like, "What's your favorite hobby?" I mean, I guess it's, like, cutting smiles into people, but I don't know if I'd wanna partake in that personally, like, that doesn't really align with me morally.
Yeah.
Um,
I would just pull like a daredevil and just be like, sorry, where are you?
am I beautiful? I don't know.
Yeah. Um, but going back to Bloody Mary, though, I'd like to talk a little about that because, it's probably one of the most infamous, at least American, urban legends out there. I'm sure, I don't think there's a single kid, probably nowadays, probably less, but when I was a kid, I definitely, did the thing where you would go with your friends to like either like the school bathroom or the park bathroom, close the door, turn off all the lights, like turn the hot water on, and then I think you write Bloody Mary on like the mirror and then say Bloody Mary 3 times to see if, you know, she'll appear.
Yeah, I feel like kids don't do it as much anymore, or, like, maybe they don't even know about it, but it scared me shitless when I was a kid. I'd have friends try to do it, and I would go outside, and I would just sit on the ground and wait for them to be done. I was like, "No, I'm not get no."
You want it to be the girl who lived.
Yeah, live to tell the story, and also, I'm like, "Why are you trying to invite Mary to my house? I don't know her. Like, what are we doing here?"
So there's different versions of what happens after you like do the thing where like her face apparently appears in a reflection or even replaces your own. But some say she simply stares, her face all twisted and horrifying. Others claim she screams, she scratches the summoner, even pulls them into the mirror, trapping them forever. Um, and then no one knows for sure where the legend like came from, but there's like a couple theories. So one is Queen Mary of England. The legend is tied to Mary Tudor, who is nicknamed Bloody Mary because of her persecution of the Protestants in the 1500s. Um, and then her reputation may have merged with ghost stories. That's just it's a bit extreme, but I just don't know if that's where it came from. And then there's one where she's just like a tragic woman from folklore, where she was just a woman who was accused of witchcraft, and of course, anyone that was accused of witchcraft was um. That's another thing about witchcraft. That whole Salem witch trials thing, like they didn't burn them at the stake; they hung them. They, like, hung all of them. It was just, like I feel like they barely from what I remember, they barely burned anyone at the stake. It was either they, like, drowned them, to see if they could swim and escape, because that would prove if they could escape that they were witches, or they would hang them. But, yeah. And
Yeah.
then, the third theory is that she's a grieving mother that lost her child and went mad, and then that's why kids are popularized into doing it, and that's why she takes them because she's trying to replace the kids that she lost.
Yeah, I feel like there's quite a few of, like, things in folklore, urban legends that all stem with that being, like, the basis of no matter the situation, whatever, it's like a grieving mother looking for children, like the fear-mongering children behave or insert thing's gonna get you, but it's like the same story, just like slightly altered for like and I feel like it goes up in scale of like horrificness and like scariness.
Another scary urban legend that I'm sure you've heard some version of is this story kind of plays out a little bit the same where it's like there's a teenage couple, they're parked at Lover's Lane, they're listening to music, and then a news bulletin interrupts the broadcast. An announcer warns that a dangerous killer has escaped from a nearby prison or mental institution, and the escaped man can be identified by one terrifying feature. He has a hook instead of a hand. And the girl becomes all frightened. She begs her boyfriend to leave. He starts the car and drives away. And then when they arrive at her house, the girl gets out and she screams. Hanging from the passenger side was a bloody metal hook. The killer had been right beside the car the entire time. Dun dun dun.
It's the hash slinging slasher. It's the
The
hash slinging
slash ringing,
slasher.
singing,
The vast pinging, the vast pinging, the
singing.
hash slinging slasher.
I love that. Was the first time I had heard of Nosferatu. Was because he just randomly appears at the end, just flicking off the lights. And I'm like, who is flicking the lights? And they go, "Oh, Nosferatu."
Nosferatu. Yeah,
But-
anytime Nosferatu was mentioned in film school, they would that clip was played.
yeah.
I watched it in a lot of classes.
And then so this hook can story, folklorists kind of believe the story was inspired by real lovers' lanes attacks because stuff like that happened. I did an episode of this podcast previously um, with a two guests where we talked about the Zodiac killer, and something very similar happened to them on a lovers' lane around 4th of July. Um, and they view the Hooksmen as more of like a cautionary tale aimed at teenagers. The message is don't sneak off to isolated places at night and don't ignore warnings about danger. And some researchers also kind of interpret it another way where they think, it's reflecting adult anxieties about teenage dating and sexuality during the conservative culture of the 1950s, which, makes sense, scare them a little bit to make sure they just kind of stay at home, stay safe, and stay out of each other, so to speak. But yeah. Were there any other classic urban legends that you thought of or that come to mind for you?
Um, I'm trying to think. Um, oh, well, it's the same as the grieving, like the basic being the grieving mother. I mean, there's been so many different films that are based off the general idea, different like inserts in like the slop TV shows that are just like I don't think they even know what's going on with the story, you know? But like a Stark one I feel like is pretty popular is La Llorona. Um,
La Llorona,
that one
yeah.
scared, yeah, that one scared me as a kid. Same thing, but it now it's kind of like the fear, like it's not like fear, it's just like kind of like that, like just like that heaviness, like kind of having that empathy where it's like, but like she is looking for her children. It's not like I mean she's taking so like that's not like the best way to go about it, but like I don't know. So many of these things being the basis of like a woman in the wrong, but it's just like a woman hurting and trying to like heal. I don't know. I find it interesting. I find it interesting. I mean, I don't think you should like take kids that aren't yours, but I like that's not what I'm trying to promote. But
It's going to be quote of the year right there. I don't think you should take kids that aren't yours.
you know, just in case you didn't know, just in case there was just something missing right here, and you're just like, oh, wait, I, you're right. I shouldn't take kids that aren't mine. That's ah, wow. You
I can
must have
just
a college degree.
I can just imagine some like very like kind of chill, relaxed kind of dude just being like pausing the episode right there and just not true.
Ah, preach, girl.
Yeah.
Preach.
All right. Well, if that's all we've got for the classics, I guess we can move on to internet horror. So first, I like to start with early internet horror. The first thing on this list is chain emails, or for more modern kids, and by modern kids I mean just kids that had like flip phones, like me, for their first phone, chain text as well.
No.
You would get like these emails saying like, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. You got to forward this to 10 people, or else all this stuff up epoxic upon your houses. They'll they'll burn your crops, you'll poison your water supply, if you don't do this and forward this funny email to like 10 other people.
Yeah. I once once the iPhone started getting thrown into it and then there were emojis added to it, I feel like looking back on it, it adds to like the silliness, but like me personally, okay, I was the type of kid, I grew up fairly religious, or actually pretty religious. I'm not really religious anymore, but I was the type of kid where like when I was like praying at night, and if I skipped somebody, I would have like a gut in my stomach and I'd have to like re-pray, like re-cancel it out, 'cause I'm like, oh my God, now that I didn't do that, like something bad is gonna happen. Like I need to fix this. I need to do anything I can to fix it. So if when I got those texts, no, no, I would freak out. But mostly because I was like, well, who do I send this to? Because I don't have 10 people's contacts and I don't want to tell my family because it's like your family will like then it would start doing like here's who's off limits to send it to, which is like stupid. I don't okay.
Never heard about
And
the off limits thing, but yeah.
yeah, I was always so anxious and I remember the one day that I was like I'm just not gonna do it this time. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm just gonna wait and see. I was just so anxious and so panicked, just like waiting for something to happen until like the clock struck midnight because you only had like X amount of time to do it.
Yeah.
And my crops were fine. I didn't have any crops. Um, my, my family's still here, um, which is true. And I still would get like anxious to this day. And now I feel like the equivalent now is like different TikToks and Instagram reels that are like if you don't send this to like claim or like you want $1 million like in your future to claim like comment tag 2 friends and send to 5 people or else you're cursed and you'll always be poor. And I'm like really? Like, do we have to take this with us? Like, it's like manifestation, but not that's not how manifestation goes.
Yeah. I kind of just love this whole thing you just told me because it sounds like it would make a great film, just like an uncut gem style like energy, where it's like this God fearing woman or God fearing teenager who just got her first phone, gets one of these texts, and then like spends all night figuring out who she's gonna send the message to.
Yeah, like who would you want to spread this curse to, sort of
Yeah.
deal. Yeah, yeah. Something is probably wrong with me, but I mean, like, I'm great now.
No. So that's pretty much early internet horror. There's that. There's certain websites that some are still around, some aren't, but one of the more infamous horror websites has got to be Creepypasta. So the golden age of that was around late 2000s to early 2010s. You get stuff like Slenderman, Jeff the Killer. Slenderman is pretty much probably the most famous creepypasta. Um, he was born online. This man named Eric Knudsen, using his screen name Victor Surge, participated in a photo editing contest on the website Something Awful, and the challenge was to make ordinary photographs look supernatural. And he basically edited 2 photos showing a tall, unnaturally thin man in a black suit lurking behind children, and he added fake captions suggesting mysterious disappearances or unexplained events. And the character quickly, like, captured people's imaginations. Others began adding their own stories, photos, videos, artwork, expanding the mythology. And then he kind of just like became this big internet legend. And I remember the photos, of course, because, they were very unnerving, especially to someone who didn't know what Photoshop was and thought they were real at the time. But then also there was the video game, Slender the Eight Pages. I'm sure you remember that, where like the whole point was like you were in like the woods or something like that, and you were trying to collect, of course, 8 pages, and trying to avoid Slender Man. And you would every time like he would approach you, you get like this static on your screen until ultimately he finally just like came up to you, up to your face, and made this weird like sound and just scared everyone.
It was so scary. He was so long. Why is he so long?
It was epic. He was patient number one.
God, he paved the way.
Yeah,
Oh, somebody tell Serena Williams.
not like us. Slender's not like us. But, it is cool that, this little small thing started off as something that became so big, but it does suck when it, like, leads to, like, real life tragedies too. Because, of course, I'm sure you've heard of the Slender stabbings, which, this girl basically, um, tried to sacrifice 2 of her friends, up to Slender Man, and she stabbed him multiple times, and I do not think they made it. So,
Mm, I think one of them did, or maybe it was a separate
one of
like occurrence. Cause I feel like it's been told that there's um it was like a similar thing, but it was two friends ganged up on one other person, lured her to the forest, and she was stabbed like over 20 times. But she ended up surviving, and then
oh, this
they
is
were
even
like
crazier.
they captured the two girls because they were like I think the average age was 12. So they
Yeah, it was
and
2
then
girls.
the girls confessed and were like, "Yeah, yeah, like no, like we were offering her to Slender Man so we could please him." And then it was like all these drawings. They had like a detailed like layout of their plan, like like the whole thing, like terrifyingly documented. And in an era too where yeah, like technology was around, but like right now I feel like that's something that would more so happen now with how influenced kids are by the media, but the fact it happened so long ago is terrifying. Like that parasocial sort of um attachment to something that's not even real. It's not it was created in Photoshop. He's not real. He's only real to the computer, bro. He's zeros and ones. Crazy. Horrible.
It's even crazier too because, like, at that point, like, I mean, the internet was this is 2014 this happened. Yes, the girl did survive, but, I just think it's great because 2014, around that time, like, Instagram's still pretty young, it's about 3 years old, and, social media isn't as big. You've got your Facebooks, but that's more for, like, college and older, so maybe some high school, but, you know I guess most parents just think if you have like a 12-year-old, she's probably going on to like Disney Channel she's not, looking up and documenting all this stuff about Slender Man and, just I mean that would scare the crap out of me, honestly, if I had a kid and they did that. Like I'd be like, "Oh, you're never." Well, of course they're probably in jail for I mean they're minors, so they're probably not in jail for life, but like attempted murder, that's a pretty serious charge. Even if they pled insanity, that's which you would have to. Like, geez. Like,
Yeah.
also, I can't imagine being like a classmate of them, just being like, dude, you will not believe what happened this Saturday. And I'm like, what? Dude, Tiffany and Sarah stabbed Wendy. And you're like, no, get out of here. Really? Yes, dude. Yes. To Slender Man. The video game from 3 years ago? Yes, dude. Yes. Like, I don't even know what the equivalent because Slenderman wasn't I wouldn't even say he was that popular in 2014. I think it'd be the equivalent of, like I don't know, somebody like took out a bunch of people at like a Chuck E. Cheese in 2020.
Yeah. It it definitely, like, it caused everything to, like, resurface with it.
Yeah.
But that I feel like that sort of era, like, it just kind of was dying down. There was other, like, horror games and stuff coming out that I felt like were getting bigger, and at that point, like, YouTube was pretty big, arguably, like, the biggest out of all, like, the social media platforms, so I feel like a lot of people were watching, like, horror on that and, like, different Let's Plays and stuff, where I mean, creepypastas were still, like, there and, like, they were still, like, thriving, but it was in a different format. It wasn't just like uh I felt like it wasn't as much, like, short form content or, like, short stories. It was delivered via some sort of influencer or whatever, some sort of, like, other, like, external storyteller. So, yeah, and then I felt like at that point, it was just like, "Lol, Slenderman, Slenderman, look at him, look. He's probably behind that tree." Like, he was just kinda like not like a joke, but it's just like, "Hey, remember that guy? Yeah, that's crazy. Bro kinda looks like him." Like, you know what I mean?
And the other big creepypasta I want to go into is Jeff the Killer. So everyone's of course seen the face, the white like face with like the red smiley eyes. I never really knew the story, but it's apparently supposed to be about a teenager. His name is Jeff Woods, and he and his family moved to a new neighborhood. And he and his brother are confronted by some bullies, and a fight escalates, revealing Jeff's increasingly violent tendencies. After several different encounters, the conflict culminates at a party where Jeff is severely injured. He's doused with either alcohol or bleach, depending on how the story is told. He's set on fire. He's getting to the fights with the wrong people. And then he survives, but he's badly disfigured. And then after seeing his altered appearance, he becomes mentally unstable. So essentially the Joker, and he allegedly carves a permanent smile onto his cheeks and burns off his eyelids so he can always smile and never close his eyes. And when his parents discover his transformation, he murders them and later sneaks into his brother's room. Before attacking, he whispers the phrase, "Go to sleep." So, yeah, someone was on one when they wrote this.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, you can see where they got their inspiration from.
I like how we're both at a loss for words. It's so extreme. It's just like it definitely feels like an internet story.
Yeah, it really does, and I guess for me too, like, I didn't maybe I did know the story. Maybe maybe in my youth I knew the story, but, I didn't remember it, and I don't know, there's something about, like, when it's a teenager doing like, their frontal lobe isn't even developed, and
Yeah.
doing stuff like that, I'm like, I'm that's certainly a a way to cope. I don't think it's correct at all. I don't think we should be inclined to just do that to people,
Also,
but
why is he taking it out on the people who have been supporting him all his life? Like, why isn't he taking it out on
right?
the bullies who set him on fire?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I'm like, if he would have hunted them down, I'm like, okay, like low key, fair enough. Fair enough. Like they ruined your life, so you're gonna take theirs. Still, I mean, I don't condone murder. Like,
I'm a
please
little
don't
lost,
murder
but fair
people.
enough. Yeah.
I'm like, I I mean, okay, like, if that was a movie, you'd low key be like, I mean, yeah, they kinda yeah, but no, it's like, let's do it to, like, my brother who I'm close with, who stuck with me through this.
Yeah.
Let's do it
Who
to
was
my
backing
parents
me
who
up in the
also were
fight?
told. Yeah, it's like, "Oh man, didn't do a good enough job, dog. Sucks to suck."
How badly did they beat his brother that like he couldn't have helped him when he was being lit on fire though? Did they just knock him out and then knock the other guy out, or they only knocked one of them on fire. They're just like, you know what? We're sociopaths and we're gonna light someone on fire, but let's just do one. Leave the other one alive so we can tell the story.
Yeah. Yeah, right? I was like, that has to be the only way, either, like, knocked out unconscious, but I feel like he wouldn't be that upset. I feel like they had to, restrain him and make him watch or something. And then it's like, he watched it happen. It's like, "Bro, what do you mean? Like, I didn't want this to happen."
Yeah, and if anything, they sound scarier than him, to be honest.
Right, yeah, who is this group? Who is this gang that's going around lighting people on fire?
They're called the fire department.
Wee woo, wee woo.
That's like their calling sign. Like when they arrive, they're just like wee 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 wee. Oh wait, that's just Mrs. Officer by Lil Wayne. I don't know why. All right. I want to move from creepypasta into our last category, and it is video game urban legends. So there's three I want to talk about. There's the Lavender Town Pokemon Syndrome. There is the Minecraft Herobrine story, which I know you're a fan of. And then I want to move into kind of analog horror and backrooms and stuff like that from modern days.
Per.
So, in terms of video games, we have the Pokemon game. There's been multiple remakes of the same game. So, I'm just going to go with Red and Blue. Or for um, those who haven't played those ones, that's just when you're in the Kanto region with the starter Pokemon are like Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Charmander. And basically, Lavender Town is this um kind of sad town known for its like graveyard like atmosphere because there's like a Pokemon cemetery in the game, and it's like the only place that really acknowledges that some of these Pokemon just don't survive their battles. And there was this weird phenomenon that affected children who played through that part in the game for the original versions of the game, which were called Red and Green. And the legend claims that the eerie background music contained high frequency tones that adults couldn't hear, which I didn't know that was a thing, but children could. These sounds allegedly caused headaches, anxiety, insomnia, nosebleeds, and even suicidal thoughts among the young players. And there were further claims that hundreds of Japanese children were affected, and that the authorities secretly modified the music before later releases of the game, and that the government agencies tried to cover up the incidents. Um, Now, there were a bunch of factors that helped the story spread. Now, it was because, of course, like I said before, Lavender Town was one of the creepier locations in the game. It uses like unsettling melodies and dissonant notes. Town revolves around death and ghosts, and there was just a lot of rumors at that time in the early 2000s about like games having hidden messages and curses in them. Uh,
Yeah.
Fortunately, more fortunately, not unfortunately, there is no evidence that it caused illnesses, suicide, or any widespread psychological effects. They've never found any credible records supporting these claims, and it seems to have originated as an internet horror tale around 2010. Yeah.
Hmm, horrifying.
Yeah. I don't understand how did at what age, like, so if you're like 17 you can hear the music, but if you're 18 just no.
Well, it's just, like, the type of frequency. It's like, as you age, you just can't hear, like, certain frequencies as well. Um, and that's why, like, my stepdad actually did it. It was years ago, but I was frequently watching this, like, infant all the time. He was always with me. At that point, he was, like, my child. And, my stepdad saw this thing and it was like, "Oh, like, play this sound," like, only dogs and babies can hear it. And he was like, well, I can't hear it. This is bull. And then he played it, and poor child, he immediately started scream crying, like would not stop, hysterically crying.
Wow.
And I had gotten a headache, so I was like, something's happening. Um, but yeah, I remember doing like an experiment in high school too in physics where the teacher did a similar thing, and then he was like, yeah, so even like you guys shouldn't be able to hear this, but I got a headache. And I was like,
Hmm.
I can still hear it. So either my hearing is just like so swag and so good, or I have the ears of a 6-year-old, which I don't know if that's good or not. I mean, that was a while ago too, and I don't think I can hear that well anymore. But
Well, that's another thing to think about. I also haven't played that version of Pokemon in a long time, but yeah, that town always gave me like kind of like the creeps a little bit. Just acknowledging that, like, these things that we basically use for extending, like, dog fighting, essentially, just eventually, just we can't heal them anymore.
yeah, I feel like in video games like that too. Or I mean, Pokemon obviously didn't start as a video game and all that jazz, but like having a game like that where it's like kind of like tee hee haha, like I beat you, like I killed him, like it doesn't really have like the lasting impact of like, yeah, I feel like it's just kind of like a LOL, like I beat you, you're dead. But then seeing like the evidence that there actually like is like a final like no, like they are laid to rest. I feel like it's just like it's so saddening. And then you just have to sit with it because everything just kind of processes. Like it's kind of blurring that sort of like separation from reality because now it's like, well, this is a real life thing and now it's happening to my Pokemon. Like, oh,
Yeah, it just, you know, makes you wonder, should you catch them all? And if you do, what is the cost? That's where the PSA ends. And then it's like continue, and then it's like a Pikachu, but like a single drops from its eye.
yeah, it's like what is it, the ASPCA commercials where it's like, in the arms of the angel,
Let's say I meant
fly
against
away. Why are you catching them all
them.
when you can find the one? You can save one.
Ugh, I don't know why. I was about to sing the song that she's known for, the "I will remember you." But I was
Well,
like, wait,
I mean,
that
it works in
song
this case though.
that works for, like, if you don't save them.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one. This one is called Herobrine. Would you like to take the lead for this one, since you seem to be a bit more familiar with this story than I am?
Yeah, sure. It's because I have a funny piece of I don't well, if it's not real, it's oh my God, it's here, O'Brien.
Oh my
Fuck.
god. Actually, that kinda works for,
Should I turn it off?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there's this game called Minecraft. But yeah, it was created the legend started in 2010. When there was a player playing Minecraft, and at this point, like YouTube's a thing, like Minecraft is a very, very popular video game, and it's just something that everybody does, I feel like, or you just assume very, very big. So a player starts this sort of rumor and it's like, hey, like I was in like the single player mode and I think they were in survival too, which is what got people to go like, what? No, there's no way. Because there's two modes to the game. There's survival and creative. Survival is like when you're raw dogging a game, and creative was awesome. It was my favorite. I would like build sculptures and stuff. Anyway, the figure looked exactly like the default skin, which his name is Steve. Icon, we love you, Steve. The only difference was Steve had eyes, well, I mean, Herobrine has eyes too, but he didn't have any pupils, any eye color. It was just like a stark um white. And anytime the player would get close to him, he would just disappear. And he was like, okay, this is kind of weird. Like this glitch is kind of scary, whatever. Um, and then the player started exploring the world more and was just like looking around, like seeing if anything else was off. And he's finding like trees which almost look like they're not fully generated. And these different like pyramids or like these giant structures that are not part of like the organic build of the game, not a part of the like generic code of it. And even like tunnels that cut straight through mountains, like already fully um it looked like man-carved cave systems that people would spend so long creating in the game, they would just like appear out of nowhere. Um, and now they're like convinced that something is like in the game. It quickly spreads, and I remember that it became a big thing to try to summon him. Like there was a rumor that you could get him to summon by building this sort of like shrine. So it looked like a person, and then you put like I believe, if I remember right, it was a diamond helmet on top of the structure, and then like you summon him, he is now in your world, and it's not going to be the same again because you summon this whatever glitch, whatever. Which, thinking about it now, it wouldn't shock me if because of how popular this was, the original, like either the creator or the people who coded it made it a glitch so you or like put in a code in where yeah you could summon it to kind of capitalize off of it. Great marketing strategy. But yeah, the player had the reason the rumor spread was they put it everywhere. They're like, oh my god, have you guys discovered this? And people are like, oh my god, yeah, like I have seen these structures and all this. Some people had seen the Steve or Herobrine, not the Steve, but other people hadn't. It was just like the weird structures, the different glitches, like all this stuff. And it was just kind of like, this is weird, but I mean, games glitch all the time. Like that's just kind of like sometimes it happens. But the figure quickly becomes known as Herobrine because it's clear that this figure is linked to all of these weird things in the game. Um, and more rumors were spread that Herobrine was actually the ghost of the deceased brother of Marcus Pearson, better known as Notch, who created Minecraft. So it's just kind of like adding to the lore that Herobrine haunted the player's worlds and would be watching them from a distance and changing all this terrain to kind of trip them up in the game. But to kind of have like a final like say in the game almost, just to like um mess it up. But I feel like Herobrine like became like an icon of himself. Like I feel like everybody was searching for him or trying to figure out something. Everybody knew about him. Um, and yeah, then it was like a race to see who could summon him first out of different groups, seeing if it was real in the world. Like if you were to organically create one, could he just inhabit it or would you have to summon it? Um, all that stuff. But yeah, there's um like created mods, which would be like you can add different stuff to kind of change like how he was summoned depending on like what it was. Um, like I think people had narrowed it down where they could create certain structures that they wanted to with him depending on how they would arrange certain items and stuff or how they would type in the certain code. But yeah, great marketing strategy. There's like horror games that cycled around him and like the like Minecraft's like RPGs, like some of the beginning ones of that were started with like Herobrine's the evil twin brother and he is gonna like wreck my Minecraft family in my mansion and now it's like escape the killer but in Minecraft. Um but yeah, they in the loading screen the creators did get in on it because they would add different like quips and one-liners relating to Herobrine. I remember just seeing his name, like it was just Herobrine, and I was like, oh my god, he's real. But there was also like destroyed Herobrine, all that stuff, or like It'd be like some weird sort of like code, and it would like lead back to like, oh my god, like it's Herobrine. But it's like I don't know. Clearly, there's no lore. It's Minecraft. Notch didn't have a brother. Bro, bro's not real. He's just a dude. He was just a dude that just appeared. But I mean, great marketing for them again, which leads me to why I was so excited for this. So my last collegiate level presentation was on the very infamous and well loved Minecraft movie that came out. I don't remember the year, but with Jack Black and Jason Momoa. Um, I love being a film major. I did a in-depth analysis about the Minecraft movie being an adaptation of the video game. Like, was it good or bad? Picking it apart. Apparently, so I've heard they're making a sequel. A sequel, okay? And people are theorizing that mayhaps the twist in the next film is Jack Black's Steve actually wasn't Steve the whole time. It was actually, or oh, I messed up the delivery, but they're saying that Jack Black was actually Herobrine and not Steve. What? It doesn't make sense for the story, but honestly, would not shock me for how that film went. They did a lot of things that didn't make sense for the story. But alas, Jason Momoa and Jack Black, the garbage man and Steve, they're in love. And I stand by it. I did a whole presentation on it. But that'd be great, like, plot twist of the century, like, Steve? My name was once Steve, but I'm actually Herobrine. And then it's just like an evil rendition of Lava Chicken is playing in the background. I think it'd go crazy.
I think it would. I would like to ask you to please turn your light back on because you're starting to scare me. Oh,
Yeah, I
scared
didn't
me.
really like it either.
Yeah. Uh, all right. Well, I think that was a pretty good deep dive towards urban legends, both ones that were kind of passed down through generations, also the ones that we've kind of made legends through power of the World Wide Web. And yeah, I'm enjoying Summerween month currently. I'm excited to see what we do next, whether it be something that's more true crime horror based or, more fiction based, whatever it may be. But yeah, I'm excited. And I'm glad you got to share your love for Minecraft and Herobrine. And I'm excited to see what we talk about next. Any closing thoughts before we end today's episode?
I should have worn my creeper shirt for this episode. Instead, I wore it's Edward Cullen, and it says "Careful I Bite," in case you were just really wondering, like the drip I have going on today. Um, but yeah, lots of more fun episodes to come for Summerween. Also, happy Pride Month. Go Kings and Queens. We see
All right.
ya.